check. Hey, 1, 2, testing.
Hello, sound check. Okay na to. Okay naman to. O yan, pwede. Sir Pax, sound check. Hello. My check, sound check. Oh, ay.
Test mic, 1, 2. Ano, meron? Ah. Test mic, 1, 2, 3. Audio check. Ano, wala pa? Hello? Wala pa? Hello? Test mic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Ronald? Mati? Mati? Kanino? Ah, okay.
Lo, lo. Ayos ah. Pwede ka na kumanta.
Mic test. Check, check. 1, 2. Okay, meron. Thank you.
Sound check, check. Sound 1, 2. Sound check. 1, 2. Sound check.
Aming tinatawag. Sir, sa Okay, game na. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our resource person is Congressman Sia Alonto Adiong, representative of the 1st District of Lanao del Sur, and Manila 1st District Representative Ernix Dionisio. So we have a question. First question natin, sir, is from Pamela of DZMM.
Po si Congressman Antonio Tino na wag pong i-approve yung hiling ni Congressman Duterte na travel clearance. Do you share po the same sentiment or call?
Well, first of all, we sympathize why the public is asking questions because this type of trip is not ordinary trip, di ba? 17 countries, I guess, for 2 months. You don't necessarily get this request from any of the members. Normally, pag mga bakasyon kasi, ilang weeks lang. But this is a trip which is, to me, it's not ordinary, no? 17 countries in 2 months. At the time when the public demands that all public officials have to be present, especially we're talking about the ongoing investigation and the fear of the public that some of these names who were mentioned already might use this as a way to evade the investigation. So we sympathize with that kind of apprehension from the public, and we understand that. But as to why there's a need for Congressman Pulong Duterte to travel to 17 countries for the span of 2 months, that's a question that I think should be answered by him. But we do completely understand kung bakit ito ang lumalabas ng mga apprehension ng taong bayan.
Kong Ernix.
Well, ultimately, I don't know kasi kung nagpasa na ng request. Yeah, if there is, it's up to SecGen to really decide on the merits of the request. And ultimately, it's the SecGen will be deciding on whether to grant or not grant the request.
As a matter of procedure, of course, the Speaker is the administrative head of this institution. So automatically, siya talaga yung magbibigay ng request. Ng approval ng request. But I guess nagkaroon na ng trip si Congressman Pulong this year, nung March, no? So that's why many of the members in this Congress are now asking, how frequent would one need to travel abroad, no? That's a question that I guess most of us also do share, no? But again, this is something that Congressman Duterte has to answer the public, because this is a time when, sabi ko nga, let me reiterate, this is the time when names have came out, names have already been mentioned, implicated in the ongoing investigation. The public fears is that this might be used to evade possible evasion from the ongoing investigation, and we do understand where this, where the public is coming from.
Okay, next question natin is Haji Camino. Haji?
Hi, Kongs. Good afternoon. I don't know if may questions pa regarding Kong Paulo Duterte, but tatalon lang po ako ng ibang topic. Just this afternoon po naglabas ng manifest of support ang Southern Luzon Congressman and as well as from Bicol for House Speaker Boji D. ano po ang ibig sabihin nito tsaka yung indikasyon po nito and why the need? Sa palagay po ninyo, why the need na maglabas ng, I mean yung necessity na maglabas ng manifest of support for the speaker? Thank you po.
Well, just for the record, I also saw a manifestation of support from the NCR representatives. Ganun lang naman talaga dito sa House eh. It's reiterating support to the House leader, giving moral boost that, whatever has to be tackled by the House, that the members are in support of the leadership.
It's an evidence that the House is in stable condition. It speaks about stability. It speaks about the support coming from the majority of the House to move forward whatever priority legislation that the leadership of the House would take on. No? So, tama yung sinabi ni Kong Ernix. This is just the regular because we are in our organization. We are about 300 plus. And this is a collegial body where the numbers do really matter when it comes to pushing a certain legislation. So it speaks about stability na rin. No? Apart from gathering support, it's also about how the House is in unison in moving forward.
Sorry po, so yung mic po yata ano. Pero nabanggit po ninyo yung priority legislation. May we also get your thoughts on the priority bills na dinagdag po ni Pangulong Marcos yesterday, yung Anti-Political Dynasty Bill, yung Party List System Reform Act, and the other two po, yung 4 priority bills po na nabanggit.
Yes, yung dalawa doon sa apat ata yung naidagdag na priority, yung Anti-Dynasty bill at saka reform party list act, no, to review the party list system in the country. I think timely lang siya na pag-usapan ngayon. Na-refer yun dun sa aking komite, sa Committee on Electoral Reform. Again, it's not only about the support that these two bills will be, the needed support from this House of Representatives, but it also speaks about yung issue on how to cross over the message to the public that in the current situation that we are in right now, there are two sides of the coin and there are two schools of thought when it comes to allowing a much wider choices for the electorate to choose from every election, because democracy is essentially about having to choose as many candidates as possible. That's one thing that we also need to balance out with the attempt to regulate limit the choices of candidates for coming elections. It's timely because I think the public now demands a clarity. Asan ba talaga papunta ang bansa natin? Kasi may basis naman talaga din sila sa issue ng political dynasty kasi nasa saad sa Constitution. So, ang bilang isang chairman ng committee ng electoral reform, sabi ko nga, it's timely for us to understand really, no, kung ano ba talagang definition ng political dynasty. That's why I am planning to not only settle with committee hearings, but I'm planning to give back the right of the people to have a sense of ownership over the process. Kaya mas maganda rin na magkaroon ng mga public consultation. But as far as the House is concerned, sabi ko nga, it's not just a matter of support because alam ko, merong 11 na versions na ngayon naka-refer na sa aking komite. At normally kasi nagkakaroon ng medyo debate kung ang minority ay hindi sang-ayon sa pinupush ng mayorya. In this case, pareho ang nagpupush, ang minorya at saka ang majority at saka minority. So in terms of having it pass the hurdles, legislative mills of these two legislation is concerned, I don't see any reason na magkakaroon ng problema. Feeling ko, papasa talaga yan sa House of Representatives. Yeah.
Kong Ernix.
Thank you. Just to give my 2 cents worth, I think matagal na yung may mga proposal na anti-dynasty or whatnot, yung mga iba-ibang laws. But I think what the President did, we commend and salute the President na nilagay niya as a priority, especially the anti-dynasty bill, na it sends a very strong signal that the Malacanang and the President is really pushing for this. Now, having said that, malaki magiging influence din yan sa mga representatives, that there's a big support from the palace, from the President, and we do believe that it's high time na magkaroon na nito. But the real question is, ano bang klaseng version? Marami kasing proposal na version what's accepted and what is not. So it really needs a thorough deliberation from the House members. Yun talagang dapat na will really give proper change for our government and our system. Hindi yung masabing nagpasalang. No, it really has to change for the better for our country. And we really salute President Bongbong Marcos for saying that this will be a priority by Malacanang.
May timeline na po ba, Kong Zia? Yung pagtalakay ng anti-political dynasty sa committee po ninyo?
Yes, sabi nga, tama yung sinabi ni Kong Ernix, dadagdagan ko lang. Kaya nga kailangan natin, sa aking palagay, kailangan talaga bumaba sa ground. Kasi itong sinasabi niya na political anti-dynasty, it will not only change the political landscape, it will also limit the choices of people to elect their leaders, di ba? So it would definitely have a bearing, the effect, on in every elections that we will be holding, assuming that this bill becomes a law. So bababa talaga tayo sa ground kasi maraming mga versions maraming versions. So kailangan natin malaman, maintindihan ng taong bayan at kung ano ang acceptable talaga sa kanila. Number 2, as to the timeline, I was anticipating sana na this December magkaroon ng preliminary deliberation. So, but as a matter of courtesy to the speaker, kasi siya naman talaga nagsabi rin. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, he stood up on behind the podium saying that he would prioritize the anti-political dynasty legislation. So I was waiting for his version. Kung di ako nagkakamali, kaninang umaga o kanina lang, nag-file na po sila ng kanilang version ni Majority Leader. So, ngayon ngayon ba? Si Majority Leader or si Speaker? I could, but that was the information that I gathered. I'm not so sure about that. You can check my information. But it was actually, they are about to file or they have already filed, the Speaker has already filed his version. So yun lang inaantay natin. So by January, I guess, that would be 3rd week of January ang schedule natin. Para mag-start na tayo ng preliminary na discussion on the anti-political dynasty. And we will consolidate all the various versions of this bill.
Thank you po.
Okay, next question natin is Ann. Go ahead, Ann Soberano of Bombo Radio.
That would be the ultimate conclusion of all this investigation kasi nasali ho siya talaga as one of the most guilty according to the evidence and testimonies of witnesses. So there's no more reason for him not to come home and subject himself to whatever investigative body that we have right now. And para mabigyan din siya ng pagkakataon na ma-defense sa kanyang sarili sa paraan na naaayon sa ating batas. Hindi yung mag-video ka lang somewhere in some portion in the globe tapos sasabihin mo that's the truth. So I guess it's a step forward. It's a positive step towards achieving the finality of this investigation, which is to file an actual charges para mag-move on na po tayo sa issue na ito at makasuhan na po yung dapat na makasuhan at madepensa nilang din po ang kanilang sarili sa litihimong paraan.
Yeah, I agree with Kong Zia. That's a very big step forward. Kasi yun talaga yung inaantay na yung cancellation ng passport. Having said that, kung yan na yung nangyari, makakagalaw na yung pamahalaan natin to find ways and coordinate with other countries to find a better and faster way na mapauwi at he can defend himself in a proper venue.
Well, that would be that would be one of the implication of the cancellation of his passport. Yeah.
Okay, next question natin, Rose of UNTV.
I-follow up ko lang po, don't you find this too late, yun pong cancellation niya ng passport?
Well, personally, relative kasi kung maaga o huli or late ako personally, it's hard for me to make a comment kasi hindi ko alam yung mga dinaanan na proseso para may cancel But nonetheless, na-cancel na so, in a nutshell, kumbaga liliit na yung pwedeng galawan nung subject na na-cancel ng passport. So, I think it's a big leap in step pa rin to the progress of what the President is doing.
Well, I think the decision to cancel his passport is based on the evidence gathered according to the flow of the investigation. Mahirap naman din kasi na magkansela ka ng passport na wala kang legal basis in enough evidence to do so. So, to give you a short answer, it's better late than never. Ika nga.
Hihit lang po ako ng another issue regarding po sa BICAM. Bukas na po magsisimula yung BICAM. How is the House... Yeah. Or Friday, pero how is the House of Representatives preparing for it? And meron pong, although nagsalita na po si House APRO Chair, Swansing, na committed ang House na i-live stream, pero according to Senator Erwin Tulfo, may House members daw na tumututol dito. How true is that? Meron po ba kayong naririnig? And bakit po may mga ganitong reports?
Hindi ho namin alam yan kasi unang-una, way back July pa. Remember when Speaker Martin was still the Speaker, we already came out with that statement that we will have the BICAM live stream. No? Yun ang gusto ng House of Representatives. In fact, ang position ko dyan is hindi na kailangan pang mag-pass ng resolution. In fact, the bicameral conference with all of the members present can actually adopt their rules and procedures on how they conduct their meetings to resolve conflicting provisions in the two versions ng bill, no? Hindi namin alam kung saan nanggagaling yan, but definitely us, if you ask us, Speaker Boji D is also very consistent and very clear ang kanyang position that we would have through our chairman ng appropriations, we would have the BICAM conference live streamed so that people can see every step of the way how these congressmen and senators appreciate the line items in the HGAB and in the Senate version kung paano i-prioritize yung mga pondo ng bayan. Dahil ultimately, pera naman talaga ng taong bayan ito. So they have to have that access to witness every step of the way the direction of the BICAM.
Yeah, ako naman, with all the conversations we had with the leadership and all the House members, lahat naman in support, in unison na i-live stream talaga So we haven't heard of a single representative here in the House na nagpo-propose o nagdadalawang isip sa live streaming. Wala pa kaming naririnig o na-encounter na a single member who, nagbigay ng sentiments about it. So to be honest, I think with Chair Mika already declared and said that it will be live streamed with Speaker Boji really reiterating that it should be open to the public. I don't think there should be any questions about it And again, I like to reiterate, wala pa kaming nakikita, naririnig o nakakausap na House member who wants na matanggal yung live stream na yan.
Saka in addition to that, as one of the Vice Chair ng appropriations, from the very beginning, klaro yung direction ng House Nila live stream yan ng pre-budget deliberation up to the time na nag-BARC. So, ang gusto talaga namin transparent yung ating proseso at malaman ng taong bayan kung saan napupunta yung discussion pagdating sa kanilang pondo.
But why do you think, sir, there are efforts to discredit the House of Representatives even before the BICAM?
I don't know. Maybe you can ask Senator Tulfo where did he get that
But do
information.
you find it unfair?
Well, I find it strange because from the very start, we've been very very consistent on our proposal, our position that we will have the BICAM live stream.
Okay po. Since both of you po are part of the Rules Committee, so meron po bang efforts to expand the contingents of the House sa BICAM? How many do we expect to represent the House?
That is for the leadership to decide. Sa ngayon, wala pa tayong numbers na alam kung sino yung uupo talaga sa BICAM. But let's wait. I'm sure the leadership will come out with the exact numbers and who are the congressmen or women that will be part of the BICAM contingent from the House.
But we expect bigger representation.
Could be. It could be. Kasi sabi nga, wala nang small BICAM eh. Diba? So it could be, yeah. The more, the wider and the more representation there in the BICAM, the better. Kasi more heads are better than one, sabi nga nila. And we're talking about the most important piece of legislation that Congress passes each year. This is the entire operation of our government bureaucracy for 2026.
I agree with Kong Zia. The more, the better. Ano talaga, if you would notice, ako napuna ko lang to sa Senate. Nakita mo parang ang dami. Oh, I would assume na sa Congress ganun din. And more importantly, it's open eh. It's live streamed already eh. So anyone can watch, the public can assess what's going on. So I think wala dapat ipagkabahala. Tuloy-tuloy lang yung pag-live stream ng BICAM.
Next question natin is Marian of TV5.
Good morning. Good afternoon po. Clarify ko lang po yung tungkol sa travel request na hiling po ni Kong Pulong. Kong Zia, you said na para po sa inyo, it's not ordinary po, no? And you also said na, yung people po, yung taong bayan demand all public officials need to be present po dito sa bansa. Considering that, what's your answer lang dito? Tama po ba o hindi na pagbigyan itong hiling na travel clearance ni Kong Pulong?
Well, to give you a direct answer, that would be for the leadership to decide on. No? That would be for the leadership to decide. But if you ask me, my personal take on that is this is not something regular. This is not the usual and the ordinary travel that one congressman requests for the speaker, no, to be granted. Because we're talking about 17 countries in 2 months. So it's something that is not really the usual request that we gather, from House members who are wanting to go out from the country.
You're part of the House leadership. If you were to ask, ano po yung isa-suggest nyo, ano po yung i-advise nyo sa liderato ng Kamara, if it's not something regular, so you're saying no?
Again, I don't want to preempt whatever is the decision of the leadership. So I would grant that authority to decide on whether to approve the travel of the requests of Congressman Polong or not to approve. Because as common member of the House, I also have to maintain courtesy to my fellow member. We all do have a parliamentary courtesy. So this is a matter of administrative issue. So it should be done and approved administratively, which in this case, the leadership of the House will decide on.
How about DML, Dionisio?
Mahirap kasi magbigay basta ng opinion, baka iba yung maging decision eh. Oo, yes, tsaka hindi ko alam yung basis eh. I haven't seen any request of any sort of any document kung anong reason for any travel. So I think the best really to answer is once lumabas na yung decision ng leadership.
And I guess in addition to that, Mariano, I think it's also proper that you ask the one requesting for this travel because he might have reasons for you kung bakit kailangan niya ng 2 buwan at 17 countries. After just a few months of travel that were approved in March. Why the frequency? I think that's those questions that are to be answered by the person himself requesting for the travel.
Okay. Gab, follow ba yan?
Yes, sir.
Si
Follow
Tricia.
up sana.
Sige, then after you, si Christian na.
Sir, follow up lang regarding yung tanong ni Marian. So, for the record lang, sir, ang irregular, medyo hindi normal para sa inyo is yung 16 countries and yung 2 months na duration.
That is my personal take on the matter. Yeah. ikaw ba, pag tinanong kita, pupuntahan mo ng 17 countries. I mean, this is not something normal that we see regularly from House members. I don't know kung travel ba ito, leisure, or with family, or official business. Kaya nga sabi nga ni Kong Ernix, it's really hard to say whether that's proper or not because we haven't seen the details and we are not supposed to be to see that because that's an administrative issue, which I guess only the leadership can decide on.
But travel per se, sir, okay lang.
Usually, ang mga travel talaga na lumalabas dyan, 2 weeks, 3 weeks pag official. Pag official, much shorter. Kasi minsan, 3 araw lang, 5 araw lang ang mga official na travels. Pag nag-request ka naman, like in our case, pag Muslim ka, mag-Hajj ka, the maximum travel probably that would be granted is about 3 weeks. And then you have to return because your primordial concern really is to your district. Diba?
Okay, Grisha?
Hi, good afternoon, Kongs. Balikan ko lang po ulit yung BICAM, sorry. It's good that you mentioned na clear naman yung stance ng House leadership, but I'm curious about yung sabi po ni Kong Nika about having to operationalize how to live stream the BICAM. What is there to operationalize and how far along are we po? Kasi baka mamaya it will come down to like logistical challenges kaya hindi ma-live stream. So, what does that mean po?
Well, this is my interpretation because I haven't really discussed this with Chairman Mika Swansing, but very clear po yung position ng House not to have it live streamed. Balikan ko lang yung explanation ko. I think para sa akin, this is my humble opinion, we don't need resolution to be adopted to direct the BICAM to have it live stream. I think with what she meant by operationalizing, again, I could be wrong, no? I could be corrected by Chair Mika. But what my take on that is the BICAM kasi they can actually adopt their own, rules, and how they would proceed with the deliberation, no? Pwede naman sila. So I think that's one. Maybe they can agree on because the BICAM does not only decided by one party or the House alone. Halimbawa, ang gusto ng House is mag-live stream, pero ang counterpart naman natin, halimbawa, ang Senado, I'm not saying na ayaw nila, pero dapat mag-agree. Halimbawa, ayaw ng Senado. So, hindi talaga siya magkakaroon ng ganong klaseng for reform or proposal. So, it has to be mutually agreed upon by both contingents.
And then yung next po, kasi yung mga civil society watchdogs po, hindi lang yung pag-live stream ng BICAM yung demand nila. Pagdating sa BICAM deliberations, what they want also is una, i-disclose lahat ng proponents ng mga projects. Pangalawa, i-disclose yung total amount of allocables per congressman. Pangatlo, i-disclose din line-by-line amendments. How open is the Committee on Appropriations on this?
Alam nyo, nung first, we already welcome and in fact encourage all civil society organizations to be part of the process of the budget deliberation. Do you remember? Umuupo po sila. In fact, sila po yung nagsasuggest din nga po sila, no? So from the start that we had the budget deliberation on the committee level, as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, meron na pong participation ang ating civil society organizations. Now, again, when it comes to the BICAM, yes, we will support any form of method or modes that would ensure transparency in the deliberation of the BICAM. But then again, it would be mutually agreed upon. We agree and we support that all proponents for each individual projects would also be named during the BICAM. So that accountability, alam natin kung kaninong proposal ito, ano yung saan dadalhin, bakit dadalhin doon, ano yung may tutulong nitong proyekto na to doon sa kanyang komunidad. So, pagdating sa transparency, very, very consistent po ang House dyan. Again, it would be mutually agreed upon by both contingents.
Kong Ernix, I understand you're one of the vice chairperson ng Committee on Appropriations.
Sorry, sir, no, I'm not part of the Committee on Appropriations.
Okay, sorry. Okay, next question natin. Meron pa?
But Kong, do you also support yung nga po,
Of course.
identifying your proponents?
Yes, it has to. Kasi otherwise, it won't be transparent enough eh. Also, just to answer your first query kanina, yung sa logistics, baka yun yung magiging problem. I don't think there will be a problem. The House is well equipped for any live streaming logistics eh. Now, with regards to what Chair Mika meant by that, I think we should ask Chair Mika. Yeah, but in terms of logistics, I think it's something we should not worry about.
Okay. Another question from Elson of Manila Bulletin.
Hello, Kongs. Curious lang po, you can answer as candidly as you like. Kaya po ba kaya ng Senate magpasa ng isang anti-political dynasty bill? I know it's a separate body, but I think it's still an important question po.
Well, tanungin nyo sila. Mahirap naman sumagot ng ganyang klaseng katanungan. So I think it's for the Senate also to answer.
What about you, Kong Ernix?
Ako, personal take ko, we should be open. Ayokong isipin na hindi or oo agad, but I think each public servant ngayon is very open to what the public needs and for real change for the government to happen. I think ayun, nandun na yun sa commitment nila kung gaano kalalim yun. It's the interest of personal, pamilya versus the interest of the public. So siguro doon natin masusukat yung dedication ng each public servant in terms of the anti-dynasty bill.
Thank you po.
Meron pa ba na gusto magtanong? Yes, Marian?
Pa-clarify lang kung Adiong, sorry ulit dun sa travel clearance niya, no? Sabi niyo po kanina, may ongoing investigation and the fear of the public. Some of the names mentioned already may use this trip as a way to evade investigation. So you're saying na maaaring ginagawa o itong hiling ni Pulong na travel clearance is para po tumakas doon sa investigasyon?
I'm not saying that he will do that. All I'm saying is the fear of the public that this may be used as a way to evade investigation and accountability, which is basically what many of us do share. That's apprehension is valid.
Okay, no more? Some more questions? O kung wala na, siguro pasalamatan natin ang ating mga resource persons, Congressman Adiong and Congressman Ernix, sir. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Kami po ang dapat magpasalamat. We would like to thank our media friends for joining us. Alam ko po, very short notice ang pagbibigay sa inyo. So we really do appreciate you coming over and join us in today's press conference.
Yeah, again, thank you sa ating friend from the media. Ako lang just, parang maganda naman na message na, it's almost Christmas. Huwag nating kalimutan yung importance ng, Pasko na para kay Lord, na God first. Na siyempre, na kahit maraming hamon yung pamahalaan natin, national government at maraming nangyayari sa bansa natin, let's stay united as a country, bilang isang bansa at tayo lahat ay Pilipino. Let's celebrate na, kasama ang pamilya natin and let's be hopeful that gagawin ng mga dapat na tao ang dapat mangyari para sa ikagaganda ng ating bansa. Thank you.
Nag-share ako ng message noon galing sa isang batang Moro at batang Tundo. Maraming salamat po.